Currently, I'm rocking a Cintiq 16-inch Pro tablet for all my digital work, and I want to stand it up and use it as a display. It's a beautiful display. Come on, Wacom. You could easily have built in a built-in display stand. So we're going to make one for this Cintiq in this video. Hey, we're also going to take a look at the Hogor MagSafe connector that works for 4K and data. They also sent along a Thunderbolt 3 dock. My name is Eric Strebel. I'm an industrial designer. Welcome to my channel about product design and making. I hope that you like, enjoy, and become a subscriber. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up, and then you hit the bell again, so you get the little parentheses around it. That way you'll be notified every time I have a new video. Don't forget to check out the design and making merch. Just below the video, all kinds of stuff, t-shirts, hoodies, and other miscellaneous fun things you might like. So my initial idea for making a stand for the Cintiq was to have a hinge where we could connect to the factory mounting points on the back of the tablet. I even built a little cardboard simple mock-up of the hinge and how that could kind of work, but ultimately I trashed it for something way simpler. All right, I'm still going to make a simple leg for the unit to stand up on. I'm just going to cut that out of a piece of cardboard I had laying around, left over from an old project. It's pretty thick stuff, and it's strong enough to support the tablet so that I can do some basic sort of testing. Here you can see the factory mounting points at the top and the bottom of the unit, and I'm just checking out my simple leg that I made to make sure that concept is going to work. And it does. So we can move forward. I'm adding some cosmetic detail to the back. It's actually functional as well. It's a little hole where my cable is going to go when the leg lays flat. So let's cut this out really quick and we'll see how that sort of works. Get your hand out of the way. I'm going to round off the edges of the unit a little bit, soften them up so I don't scratch my desk. And I also needed to trim off a little bit on each side because the styrene that we're going to use to make this is only 12 inches in length. And you can get this stuff, I sell it on eBay as well, link below. This is an 060 sheet of black styrene. So I'm going to use my template that I had there, and I'm going to use that to lay out on my sheet of styrene. I'm just making some simple score cuts here because I'm going to snap off the styrene, get my basic shape for my leg. On the bottom of the leg, I'm making a little cutout. So I'm just going to have two touch points where it touches and connects to the desk to support the tablet. Next, we have that little cutout space in the middle. And for this, I'm going to use a Dremel tool with a little end mill bit. And then I'm just going to pierce the styrene and make some simple holes so that I can come back with an X-Acto and kind of clean things up. I'm holding it by hand. It's a little dicey. Ideally, it should be mounted onto a table, maybe even use like a little drill stand or something like that. And then we'll want to vacuum everything up because it did make a big old mess. All right, so one of the things too on this little cutout is that there has to be a little spot for a place to attach the string or the connector that we're going to use to connect it back onto the tablet. So that was another reason we went in there with the Dremel, so we had a little bit of control about the corners. And this leaves us with a simple basic opening and then a little bar at the bottom down there, and that's where we're going to connect our cable to hook that into the unit itself so that the leg can't just fall out backwards. I'm going to trim things up using a variety of methods, but I really like using a card scraper. It's basically a piece of spring steel. Works really great. I use it for a lot of scraping with various materials. So now that we have the basic leg done, we want to attach some hinges. And I'm going to use some styrene tubes here. And we're going to solvent weld these onto the base that we made. I'm using a glass syringe here, so it's not going to be affected by the solvent that we suck up into the syringe. I'm using some of these Luer Lock needles here. That's how I buy all my syringes. And we'll suck up a little bit of solvent here so that we can melt the plastics together. I have scraped a small little flat spot on the one side of the tube, and I'm sort of pre-softening the material. I like to do that when I'm gluing stuff together to get them softened up first so that they get a really good bond that way. The syringe makes application really easy in this case. You could also use a brush. The brush actually might give you a little bit more control as well, and it will prevent the solvent from sort of going all over the place, which it does in my case actually. So I need to come back and sand out some of the blemishes from the solvent. So I'm coming in here with some wet dry paper. Maybe I'm starting off with like a 350. And yeah, sorry about the shaky camera. There was other things going on. And then we're finishing up maybe here with a 400 or a 600 grit. Basically, I'm just taking the thing back to a kind of a matte finish by sanding everything out so it's all uniform and it looks halfway decent. I finished with a wet sand, 800 grit, really quick, just to give it that final nice smooth finish. And then we'll dry it off. Now on the 2018 15-inch MacBook Pros, or any of the new MacBook Pros with USB-C, there's no magnetic MagSafe connector, which sucks. Stupid thing to remove. But, I mean, I get it. So Hogor reached out and sent me a sample of their magnetic USB-C connector. It works great on my 15-inch MacBook Pro, which it says it's not recommended. You do have to press it in pretty hard, but it will go in and it will work. They also sent me this USB-C Thunderbolt 3 dock, and you can see it has all these little pop-on pieces, so for extra USB-C Ethernet connector, and even SD card slot. And I happen to have one on the Cintiq, so it's not one I'm using. Here you could even plug in the quick disconnect on the side. So for ultimate versatility, the unit also does 4K video and is good for data transfer. So it's not just for charging. It can totally handle the 100 watts of power for charging. Super big thanks to Hogor for sending over the samples. I really like them. Thanks again. Links below to their products and their website. I bet you're curious how we're going to attach the stand onto the Cintiq display. We're going to use a piece of 1.5 millimeter piano wire, and there are these existing grooves or slots on the back side of this. So we're going to pop this piano wire, which is very strong and stiff, right into one of those grooves, and that's going to provide us plenty of support for us to attach the stand to. You can see this is how it goes together. I slide the piano wire in there, and then we're just going to pop it into the little existing slots. And this folds down flat, very thin, 1.5 millimeters, so really not adding any thickness to the whole unit. I'm going to use a piece of ribbon to connect the foot to the display. Ribbons are occasionally used in product design. In this case, it's plenty strong enough, and it's nice and wide. It's nice 9 millimeters wide, so I don't have like a string flopping back and forth back there. It's the same width as the slot on the product, and I made that slot to fit my ribbon. You also saw me use some super glue there before, and that was just to keep the threads from unraveling or coming out later on down the line. Pretty straightforward. So really easy, works really nice, easy to fold up, plenty strong enough. So just in case you're interested what a touch interface would look like on the current macOS interface, I'm going to show you, because the Cintiqs have touch built into them. So of course the macOS is not optimized for touch really in any sort of way, but it's something that Apple really needs to consider in the future. Some sort of touch capability in the macOS is really needed. I mean, come on, Johnny. You can't tell me that you're not drawing on a Cintiq yourself. You're not doing all your sketching on an iPad, because that workflow sucks. Let's convert this back into the regular tablet mode where the built-in feet pop out, just so I can show you how quick and easy this is, and you don't give up anything by adding a display stand onto the back. So, come on, Wacom, get with it. Or maybe somebody will do a third-party stand or something like that. Probably knock off my design. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can do that by clicking on the icon in the bottom right of the video or below the video. Give it a thumbs up and follow the channel there as well. You want to know about upcoming design content and projects that I'm working on? Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and my favorite, Google+. Links below. Rock on. Click here to check out some of the other design and making videos that I have that you might enjoy.